Caitlin, officially branded as Caitlin with a Rose. As you can see here, it's my little trademark. So I'm going to tell you my story. So kind of just how I got from where I was to where I currently am now, which is an incredible place that I honestly never knew that I could be at. We always kind of have visions for ourselves and how our lives are going to turn out. Of course, they never turn out that way. But not only did my life not only turn out the way that or in a way that I didn't foresee, but it's turned out to be incredible and more than I ever dreamed that it could be. So I have notes because I tend to be a little bit scatterbrained, and I don't want to sit here and just ramble. If you ever want to just sit and hear me ramble, try having a conversation with me via phone or in person or something like that. You will get your fair share of rambling, and then you will wish that you didn't start that. So I guess my story starts when I was younger. When people asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always told them I wanted to be either a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, because in my head, those were the two occupations that were the most difficult to obtain. Or it was the most difficult to become those two things in my little child head. And I knew that I could do it, and I wanted to do that, and I was that kind of person that was just driven to do what people thought was impossible. So that kind of was my motivation for that. But as I got older, I realized that that wasn't really the lifestyle that I wanted. I didn't want to spend my entire life, well, I say entire life. I realized that when I'm 50, that like the first, 25 years of my life aren't going to be incredibly, well, they'll be significant, but it's just a fraction. However, as I was a teenager and whatnot, and like growing up, I didn't want to, spend like these golden years of my life going to school, working. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to, eventually maybe get married, have a relationship, and not be glued to my job, and have invested so much time and money toward my occupation that that was my entire life. So I decided that I wanted to be in the medical field and I wanted to become a nurse. So with that, I got to college. When I was in high school, I did, CNA stuff. I kind of just set myself up to be able to move toward the direction of becoming a nurse. Well, fast forward a couple years. First year that I applied, I did not get into the program. Surprise, surprise. It runs by a point system. Very rarely do people who apply for the first time get into that program. So I didn't get into the program, and then I kind of went off on this year of a tangent where I took classes in oceanography, and I was rock climbing and skiing and took up all these other hobbies and did all these other things that I always wanted to do, but was always so focused on my end goal that I kind of missed that my journey took a hit and became solely a means to an end to become a nurse and become what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I took some time off and didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I wanted to, I think I finally, after entertaining the idea of 8 different majors, I finally declared my major as liberal arts with a minor in English. And I wanted to, this sounds so silly saying this now, I wanted to move to England and write and be a blogger and do all this stuff. And it sounded, in my head, it was like the most romantic idea ever. And that was going to be my life. And I was stoked about it. Well, it eventually came to a point where I realized that life does not pay for itself. And I started entertaining the idea of going to hair school and various things that weren't really my personality and weren't ever really an interest of mine, just for the sake of keeping afloat and, just moving forward and trying to figure out how to propel my dreams. So I'd still actually applied to the nursing program for the second year, and when it got to the point where I was thinking about doing other kinds of vocational programs, I was like, you know what, if I get into the nursing program, because I was put on the waiting list, it's like if I get in, I'll do it, that'll be that, I'll go with the flow with that. That obviously is a sign from the universe that it's helping me out, I should kind of go that way. And it made sense because it was a career that, it would provide a decent living. I'd be able to have some versatility. I'd be in the medical field like I wanted to be, and if I wanted to do any other kind of career, it would be able to propel that kind of a future and, fund my education and do all sorts of things. So, long story short, I ended up getting into the program. I did the nursing program. It was actually through Weber State University, but I was on Utah State University's campus in northern Utah. And anyway, it was a great program. I made great friends, had really great experiences. Sorry, my eye here is super red. I'm tired. I also have allergies. It is, what's today, March? It's like the first week of March, and allergy season is starting to roll in. And so all day long, been like that. So my apologies. I cannot find my eye drops, so you get to deal with my red eye. It's like the biggest issue today. So I did the nursing program. Things were great. I also grew up dancing, and I was on a dance crew at the university that I was at. I had gone on a couple trips to Los Angeles. I decided that I wanted to actually move to LA and dance, and I was going to finish nursing school and move out there, do that thing, and then also work as a nurse, make bank, because nurses in California make way more than nurses in Utah. Blah, 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 cost of living. You can argue that all you want. They make way more. So that was kind of my plan. And at this time, I was dating someone who I thought was absolutely incredible. It was like, one of those times in your life where you think that everything is so amazing, but something's got to give. It's too good to be true. But, trying to be hopeful, like the universe is good to you, and, you deserve good things, and that's awesome. But sure enough, I actually got a job at the University of Utah in the neuroacute care unit, and I was super stoked about that, and the boyfriend that I had, and, I was just graduating from nursing, and I just had this super, super bright future ahead of me. And I moved down to Salt Lake. I was living with my mom, kind of as an interim. I shortly thereafter, I actually found out that I did not get the job at the U. They offered it to me, and they didn't even give me a reason why the job offer was rescinded. So I was now unemployed. I lived with my mom. I found out that I was pregnant, and the boyfriend that I was with and we broke up. So I was now single, unemployed, lived with my mom, and about to be a mom. And was incredibly stressed out. And as I went through that experience, I remember, I think I was like 8 months pregnant, and just walking and talking with my mother and just saying, if I can get through this, I can get through anything, because it was so crappy. I was so sick. I was terrified. I felt like I had, like my future was going to be so limited by my current circumstances. It was kind of like a preface for like what the rest of my life is going to be, because when you're going through something, that's how it feels. It feels like, that's the end of the world. That's how life's going to be forever, because that's your experience and that's your reality at the time. But again, in hindsight, everything does pass, and if you can make it through those things, then they're behind you, and you are a stronger person for having gone through those, and you can empathize with other people who are going through similar things like that, because you kind of, and you understand what it is that they're going through. So fast forward about a year, I had my son. When he was almost a year old, I bought my first house in just south of Salt Lake City, and I was working at the University of Utah in the cardiovascular medical unit. I loved my job, but I wanted to excel and go further than that. I actually wanted to do nurse anesthetist school, and part of that was getting a job in an ICU, and then going back to school to finish up my bachelor's in nursing. So I had my nursing degree, but it was an associate's. So I needed to finish my bachelor's in nursing, and then get a job in ICU, get experience behind me, and then apply to CRNA schools, and then kind of go from there. So the world, like, super, super bright future. I went up to the U, and I had applied into the cardiovascular intensive care unit. I got the job, and then that was about beginning of April, but I wasn't going to start until the second week of May, because my son and I had a 2-week trip to Spain planned for the end of April. It was going to be over my 24th birthday. It was just he and I going. He was 16 months old at the time. I was going to come back